Roblox is billed as a fun site for kids who love to create their own games and see creations from others. But parents should know there's increasing scrutiny on some inappropriate content that kids might find on Roblox. Steve Smith of A Wired Family is here to help us navigate it. Steve, good morning. So Roblox, I guess it really exploded in popularity when everybody was locked down during the pandemic, right?
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. It really began to explode. I shouldn't say explode, kind of gradually grew after about 2010. But yeah, with the pandemic, a lot of kids had a lot of downtime, and that's exactly what they were doing. They were playing these games, and actually, they weren't just playing the games. Roblox, you can actually make your own game, and you can make money as a result of doing it. So it's a very interesting game, kind of like digital sandbox. And for the most part, it's a good product. It's the amount of time that kids are spending on Roblox is probably my greatest concern.
Yeah. Well, now how is it different from Minecraft? Because I'm more familiar with that one, and that's also a game that lets you create worlds and use your creative skills.
Yeah, exactly. So both games make the users really think spatially, right? But with Minecraft, the objective is kind of to build this environment and make sure you don't fall into any of the pitfalls or the monsters and what have you in that. But it's also very, very good for the brain. With Roblox, you can do anything. In fact, what they're trying to do, what the creators of the infrastructure are trying to do, is create this metaverse where it's almost like Second Life, where you can play all sorts of different roles. So it's much more expansive. It's much more social, and I think it's in some respects it's a better game, or it's not even a game. It's a better sandbox, if you will.
Right, right. And I know that a lot of places and people will call it family friendly, but there are some things that families need to navigate, right, as far as privacy and some of the content that kids might see on there.
That's exactly right. I mean, look at any of these things really as a neighborhood. I say this all the time, and like most neighborhoods, the majority of the neighborhoods are good, and there's some things in the neighborhood you need to stay away from. I will say this, for the most part, Roblox doesn't have a whole lot of traps that kids are going to fall into other than the amount of time that they spend. But unquestionably, there are these things which, we'll call condo games, which invite the other participants to come into these rooms and have virtual relations, since this is a morning show. I've seen a couple of them over the last week, and it's not the type of thing you want your child to fall into. But
That
I don't want
sounds
anybody
scary
to
to
think
me.
that.
So what should parents do to make sure their privacy and security is set right so their kids aren't getting into something like
Right.
that?
So Roblox does have several different parental controls on it. So it does give you a certain amount of latitude as to how much privacy the child has, and obviously you want them to have a lot of privacy in that. But the reality is you do have to kind of keep an eye on it. You have to physically be present periodically to look in and see exactly what your child is involved with, who they're involved with, right? So the what they're hearing through these conversations is every bit as bad and sometimes worse than what they're seeing in some of these rooms. But I don't want anybody to think that thousands of kids are running into issues with this.
Okay.
It does happen. There's some adult information and material in there, but the majority of kids are not necessarily going to find their way into it. But like I said, it does definitely happen.
I only have like 30 seconds left, Steve. Real quickly, you touched on the amount of time kids are spending. Parents need to place time limits on this stuff, I guess.
Yes, no question about it. So, if you go back into the research that's been done over the last few years, and actually there's a really good book called Resetting Your Child's Brain, which talks about, what limits you should have it there. 2 hours. 2 hours is the limit. That does not include the homework that they're doing, but it could be 2 hours playing Roblox. It could be just 30 minutes playing Roblox and, 30 minutes over here and 30 minutes over there. But it's no more than 2 hours because their child's brains are not wired yet to be able to accommodate that much stimulus.
All right, Steve Smith of A Wired Family. He's got much more information on his website, awiredfamily.org. Thanks a lot, Steve.
Thanks, Sheila. I appreciate it very much.